Hello there, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Starry Skies, the magazine programme that tells you all about what you can see in the night sky in this month of June. I'm Mark Hardacre, and this month I am delighted to welcome back our very own, here he is, Starry Steve Tonkin. Welcome back, Steve.
Oh, thank you. It's really good to be back at last. It's good not to be where I was.
Yeah. As you may recall, we lost Steve for 3 months, I think it was, after a minor ding with his motor.
Yep.
And a major ding with your ribs and the rest of your body.
Yeah, but, you know, modern technology stopped it being worse, and modern medicine and medical care got me back on my feet, so that's really good. Also, what was really good was to listen to Duncan and Kate and go, because, you know, I sort of felt, well, you know, do I actually need to come back? Because they were good.
No, we're delighted to have you back again, especially for June, because we'll really need filling up with June. It's a terrible time, really, for astronomers, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, I won't be getting a lot done, I don't think, so I'd like to wait until it's proper dark.
Yeah.
But one of the things while I was convalescing is I've got one of these little smart scope things,
right,
all three, and I could just set this up and let it run all night, and was getting some lovely images while I was asleep, getting better. We
should have a section really on smart telescopes on Starry Skies one day, shouldn't we?
I think we should. We should do that probably in the autumn, so that people can think about them as Christmas gifts.
That's a great
because
idea.
They are really, really useful when you're setting out.
We'll do that. So anyway, as we said, the night skies in June are not really the best for us astronomers, as it hardly gets dark at all. So in addition to our usual rundown of what we see in the sky, this month we've decided to talk about clouds.
We do indeed. They're wonderful things.
Clouds? That's not something we'd normally talk about, is it, Steve?
No, but these aren't the sort of clouds you think of when you think of clouds.
Right. We'll come to those later, I'm sure. The best time for stargazing this month in June is actually this week, the first week of June, and the last 2 weeks of the month, when the moon will be out of the way and the sky is at its darkest. And the full moon, I think, this time is on the 11th of June. So the first week and then the last 2 weeks of June should be all right. But it's not really dark, is it?
No, because we are near to the solstice, and near the solstice the sun doesn't actually get far enough below the horizon to enable the sky to get fully dark, but it does enable something else which we'll be talking about later.
Yes, indeed. So, in fact, from the 27th of May until the end of August, there is no official astronomical darkness. That means when the sun is 18 degrees below the horizon. So, here down south, we have about 6 weeks of no darkness at all. And if you're up in the north of England, it's even worse, of course. So, how about we start with the planets for this month? Not much to say, really, is there?
Well, no. There's Mars is going to be just about visible low in the western sky. Still very distinctly red.
Yep.
Be able to see it. But the other planets we can look at are in the morning, which are Saturn, which will be just below the moon on the 19th, and Venus, which is incredibly bright and will be just below the moon on the 22nd, but you're going to have to get up really early because, I
mean, really early, 4 a.m., right? That's
even,
when dawn is.
Even earlier, I think, if you really want to get the best of this beautiful crescent moon with Venus, you want to be up about 3:30.
Yeah.
Or stay up till 3:30 and go to bed later.
That's a good idea. Stay up and observe all through the night. What about Jupiter, though? Is that gone now?
I think it's too close to the sun, don't you?
Yeah, you might just catch it the first week of June if you look just after the sun's gone down, or as it gets dusk, you might just catch it. But for all intents and purposes, ain't there no more. Anyway, so then we're going to talk about our constellation of the month, which for the month of June is a little-known constellation called Ophiuchus, the Serpent Bearer.
It should be much better known.
It should.
It's not very bright, but it contains some lovely things which we'll look at.
Yep. And during June, it's easy to find. Faced south, around midnight. Well, it won't be dark until around midnight anyway. And then look mid-sky, about 40 degrees up in the sky, and there you should see Ophiuchus. We've put a map of Ophiuchus on the various websites, so we'll direct you to those later on. But to guide you, if you look out for the bright red star Antares, which is much lower down, nearer the horizon, you can't miss Antares. It looks a little bit like Mars. In fact, its name...
Hence its name. Ant, rival, as in anti or antagonist. Ares was the Greek name for Mars.
Yep.
So Antares.
So Antares,
rival to Mars.
There it is, low, much lower in the southern sky as you're facing south, and directly above it, more or less, that's where you'll find Ophiuchus. And it's not really a constellation that many people are familiar with, but now and again the internet latches onto it. Have you seen those stories, Steve?
Oh, yes.
Oh,
yeah. Patrick Moore used to go on about those ones.
But he did that to wind people up on purpose.
Oh, yes.
Because this is, there we mentioned, this is connected with astrology. Oh, my goodness. Because... of course, we know that there are 12 zodiac constellations, Aries, Taurus, Gemini, and so forth. But really, there are 13 zodiac constellations. That means Ophiuchus, the 13th one, is where the sun will travel during the month of November.
Indeed. In fact, there should still just be 12, because if you look at the names of the bright stars in Libra... Zubin el-Ganubi and Zubin el-Shamali, the southern score and the northern claw, they are actually the claws of Scorpius, the scorpion, which was then divided up in order to make 12 to suit the astrologers.
He's showing off now.
Yeah.
It's really...
Well, yeah, I haven't been able to for the last few months.
That's true. So, yeah, as the sun travels around the sky during the year, its path does, in fact, take us into 13, not 12 constellations. And, in fact, from the 30th of November, that's right, until the 17th of December every year, the sun is in Ophiuchus. So if you were born then, you're an Ophiucan, not a Scorpion.
Oh.
Which all goes to prove, does it not, that it's astrology as opposed to, astronomy, which is the science and not astrology. So, Ophiuchus, on the old star charts, you know, the ones that were hand-coloured years ago, Ophiuchus is depicted as a man grasping a snake with a serpent on both sides of him. And there are various myths as to how he got there and why ever is a man wrestling a snake. How did that get into the night sky?
Absolutely no idea. But Serpens, the serpent, the snake constellation, is one. It actually exists in two separated parts.
Yep.
So they're both called Serpens. So you got Serpens caput, the serpent's head, on the right hand side of Ophiuchus, and Serpens cauda, the serpent's tail, on the left hand side.
Right. Well, according to the ancient Greeks, so it says here on my notes, because I'm reading them now, the Greeks thought that Ophiuchus was Alcephius, is that right? I think.
Asclepius.
That's the man. The god of medicine and the son of Apollo. But there are many. I was reading Ian Redpath's great book, Star Tales.
Oh, isn't that good?
Which is a very good book. That's one if you want to buy it and get in the library, you can.
You can actually get it free online from his website.
You can.
It's
very true. Ian Redpath is the name. Very famous astronomer, was often on Sky at Night with Patrick Moore. And he, in his book, gives the mythological history of all of the constellations in the sky, where it applies. Some of them have no mythology connected with them, but Ophiuchus certainly does. In fact, many different tales, Steve.
Oh, yes. He also, which I find it very useful for, he also mentions constellations which no longer exist.
Right.
The defunct constellations before the whole thing was reorganized in the 1920s.
And there's one of those, is there not, right next to Ophiuchus? Yes.
Probably.
Taurus, the...
Oh, Poniatowski's bull?
There you go, you see. Now, on our map of Ophiuchus, which I will upload to the website, you will see not only Ophiuchus, the man, with the snake, but just above him on his, let me think...
left-hand shoulder.
right shoulder as you see on the map, I think. You'll see...
Be left shoulder, I think, as you're looking at it.
Left, correct, yeah, left. You'll find a little bull. And that's a constellation as what no more exists.
Yeah. But the stars are still there.
The stars are still
and it's actually great to look at. It looks like a little Hyades, little V shape of stars. It's a glorious little thing.
Yeah. So you'll find that map on the Forest FM fan page on Facebook, as well as on our Astronomical Society pages, which we'll mention at the end of the show. So, if you have a small telescope or a good pair of binoculars, there are some really good objects to find in Ophiuchus. And again, we've put a star map on the website so you can find some of these things. So, first one, let's go to, you see the star, have a look at the map now on the website when you're listening to this show. Go on. Just north of the star called Sebariae, you'll see a lovely open cluster of stars. It's not marked on the chart, unfortunately, but just north of that star is a little cluster called IC 4665. Yeah. Tell us about that one,
Well,
Steve.
we know it as the cluster that welcomes you to the southern summer skies, because if you look at the brighter stars in it, they spell out the word Hi, H-I. And you can even imagine an exclamation mark after that. It'll be upside down in binoculars, but in a telescope, an astronomical telescope, it will be the right way up.
Yep. And it appears to say right. As it gets darker and darker, the word high will disappear as the fainter stars appear around it. But it's a lovely little open star cluster, and there are several around this region. In fact, if you take your binoculars, you're looking at the star I just mentioned, Sebariae, and then just move your binoculars to the left slightly. You go past IC 4665 and then go a little bit left, and there's two more clusters there.
Oh, they are. I like those. They fit in the same field of view of something like 10 by 50 binoculars, which is the first thing about them. They are both open clusters. One's called NGC 6633, and the other one is IC, index catalogue IC. Can't remember. 65.
He's still doing really...
something 6356 or something like that. Anyway, it'll be on the charts. I've probably messed up that one.
Yeah.
But you can get them both in the same field of view. Now, the one of them has got a fewer but brighter stars, not so densely packed, and the other one is just really densely packed, fainter stars. And it shows you the difference that exists between these kinds of objects in the sky.
Yeah.
I mean, one will be much older than the other, which is why it's more spread out.
So these open clusters have all been formed around the same time from a huge mass of gas, which has collapsed into tens, hundreds, sometimes thousands of stars. And then over time, these stars have drifted apart, so that the clusters become sparser. The newer ones are more compressed and have younger stars in it. So we can find them all over the sky, open clusters. Pleiades is a good example too. Everybody knows the Pleiades.
Pleiades is a beautiful one.
We can't see that now. Anyway, so what else do we have in Ophiuchus? We have several globular clusters. What's a globular cluster?
Globular cluster... Well, 20 years ago, could have told you precisely what a globular cluster is, because we all thought we knew. They were just little collections of stars, maybe a few 100,000 stars up to, which were denser in the middle, and they formed at the same time of our galaxy. Most of which is probably true. But what is possibly the case now, I think, certainly with some of them, they were little sort of micro-galaxies that have had their spiral arms cannibalized by the gravity of the Milky Way.
Yeah.
So there's, science is always learning new things, and so we don't know. But they are little clusters. They mostly have a nice dense core with fainter stars around them. But in binoculars, they'll just look like defocused stars. But in a small telescope, even, you'll start seeing this beautiful structure of them.
Yeah. And most of them, I'm right in saying, Steve, orbit our Milky Way.
They do.
So they're not within the Milky Way itself. They're not within our galaxy. They are just above and below the core and floating around, orbiting around us, 30 to 40 to 50,000 light years away. So they're quite some distance away, which is why they're faint grey blobs in binoculars, of course.
And there's another one which is actually slightly brighter than those two. If we go back to Antares, just look to the right of Antares. There's another one, M4.
M4.
Which is another gorgeous little one, but you need a really good southern horizon to pick that one up because it's very low in the sky.
Yeah. The best two in Ophiuchus, if you have a look at the star chart, is M10 and M12. They're right in the middle of the constellation. You can pick them up with binoculars quite easily without any. You can see them in the same field of view in a decent pair of binoculars, just about. But with a telescope, I always think of them as being like a snowball of diamonds.
Yes, that sums it up perfectly.
They really, with a big telescope, like the one we have at our observatory, a 12-inch telescope, that's a massive mirror, collects a lot of light. And when you look at a globular cluster with an object, with an instrument like that, it is dazzling. Really, it looks like the stars really do go right to the core. It's an amazing sight to see. So Ophiuchus is the home to about, I don't know, 7 or 8 different globular clusters. It seems to be a good part of the sky for finding these things. I know we've got M10, M12, M107, M9, M14, at least I can think of. There's probably a few more.
A few NGC ones.
Yeah.
But the reason for that is these clusters, as Mark said, they orbit our galaxy, but they form this halo around the core of the galaxy. And when we're looking in that direction, we're looking towards the core of the galaxy, so we see a lot more of them there. Yep. If you look the other way, from the year, you hardly see any.
Yep. If you look towards the plough or in the north, there are very, very few globulars in that area of the sky. Yeah. So we were going to talk about clouds, weren't we?
Yes. Well, of course, the globular clusters look like tiny little clouds, but that's not the ones we're looking at.
And we don't mean the rain clouds that are coming in June,
we don't mean the rain clouds either.
No, thank you. Yeah.
No, what we're looking at are clouds. The first ones are clouds that we can see due to the same reason as the sky doesn't get dark.
Right, and that is masses of stars within our own Milky Way galaxy forming star clouds. That's the first lot. Binoculars show them nightly, beautifully. And the second set of clouds that we're going to talk about is noctilucent clouds.
I was getting it the wrong way round. Those are the ones. I thought we were going to talk about noctilucent clouds first. Never mind. I got that one wrong.
So noctilucent clouds, let's talk about them first, because they are really quite rare, aren't they?
They are, and they weren't even recorded until after the Industrial Revolution started.
Is that right? I didn't know that.
So, which is an interesting one. It's thought that they are ice crystals. I mean, that's clear.
So how would I find one of these things? Is it a good time now in June or Christmas, or when should I look?
Only in the summer. Right. Only when it doesn't get properly dark. Aha. And you look in the north. So if it's before local midnight, you look in the northwest. After local midnight, you look in the northeast, because that's where you're most likely to see them. Above the horizon, sky glow from the sun. And what you're looking for is really sort of tenuous, shimmering, almost very, very silver white veils of cloud. They're absolutely beautiful. They are ice crystals between about 30 and 50 miles up in the atmosphere. Yep. And they are illuminated by the sun just below the horizon, which is why we're able to see them. And once you've seen them and you can recognize them, they are so different to weather clouds. They're intensely beautiful. Really, really worth having a look at. And they've formed the ice crystals, which need somewhere to form onto. It's thought it's possibly cosmic dust, so dust of cosmic origin, like sort of comet tails or something like that. But because they weren't recorded before the Industrial Revolution, it's sometimes wondered if it might be human pollution that has caused it. So we just don't know.
We just don't know.
And they may have been there before the Industrial Revolution, and just nobody
recorded them.
Nobody recorded them. They just didn't think about it. So
the first time I saw them, if I can just, was, do you remember when we saw Comet Neowise?
Yes.
I think that was 2020, was it? Was it COVID time around?
Yes, it was during one of the lockdowns.
It was. So 2020, I remember going out to Knowlton one early morning, 1 o'clock in the morning, to see this comet hanging over the church there at Knowlton. And right next to it were these, what looked like cirrus clouds at night. That's how we could best describe them if you've not seen them before, like very, very thin, wispy cirrus clouds, low down. And I thought, how come it's such a clear night? How come we've got those? And of course, they turned out to be noctilucent clouds, NLC as we call them, and they're not very common. There's a season for them, which is from about now until into early August, perhaps, just a couple of months, when the sun is still. These are reflections of the sun, effectively, aren't they, Steve?
I think the sun's got to be between 5 and 10 degrees below the horizon for them. From memory, I've probably got that wrong, but it's that order of things, and then you can see them.
Anyway, have a look from around midnight, as he said. Actually, 1 o'clock in the morning.
1 o'clock, right? Which is local midnight. Yeah,
local midnight, because 1 o'clock BST, of course, is midnight Greenwich Mean Time. And that's when the sun is due north. So look and see if you can spot them, and let us know here at Forest FM. If you see them, give us a bell, and we'll be very interested to put your observations on air.
Absolutely.
So that's not the only clouds we're talking about today, though, was it? Noctilucent clouds are here in our atmosphere. We see them as a reflection of the sun, but the other clouds we want to talk about aren't in our atmosphere at all.
No, they're hundreds of light years, hundreds of thousands, tens of thousands of light years away.
And some of the brightest, these star clouds are actually really parts of the Milky Way, more or less.
Yeah, they're near the core of the Milky Way.
Yeah. Excuse me. And two of the best are in the constellation of Sagittarius. So again, have a look at our Ophiuchus star map, and you'll see Sagittarius to the lower left of the map. It's got the shape of a teapot.
Yeah, teapot, and the Milky Way comes out of the spout like steam coming out of a kettle or something like that.
And that area there is called the Large Sagittarius Star Cloud. Yeah. And if you put your binoculars on there, and again, as you were saying earlier, Steve, you need to have a good southern view. Yeah. Low down, you can't. If you've got trees and houses there, go to Knowlton or somewhere local where you can see...
Or down to the coast.
Or even better, that's absolutely right, Barton or somewhere like that, where you're gazing out to sea. The next nearest bright light is Cherbourg.
Yeah, well, I had that from Purbeck. And somebody who were doing an observing session, their public one, and somebody said, oh, look, there's clouds on the horizon, thinking it was the weather clouds. No, it wasn't. It was the beautiful star clouds.
Yeah, absolutely. So have a look for those. It's the Large... Sagittarius star cloud is a mass of hundreds of thousands, uncountable numbers in binoculars. And if you get a good night where it's clear and low down in the south, it's okay. You'll see all these hundreds of thousands of stars. And like you say, Steve, this is like steam coming out of the teapot spout.
Yeah, and the reason it's so dense, if you sort of imagine that we scale stars like the sun down to the size of a ping pong ball, we've got to scale the distance down if we're making a model like that. In our neck of the woods, and the spiral arms of the galaxy, you're talking about ping pong balls about every 500 miles or so apart, the scale spacing. Now you know why it's called space. Yeah. But when you get down towards the core of the galaxy, they become a mere, we say that, about 3 miles between ping pong ball scale distance. So they're much, much denser, although still very far apart in reality. But yes, and that's why we can see them there. And you get a binocular view of those. You see more stars than you in a field of view of binoculars than you will anywhere else in the sky. It's absolutely lovely. Yeah,
and it's the trouble, of course, for us poor northern hemisphere dwellers is it's fairly low on the southern sky. If we go up a little bit, and I've marked the next object on our star chart this is the small Sagittarius star cloud. That's a little higher in the sky, and to me it's smaller but brighter. I don't know what you think, Steve, but is it's more compact than its larger cousin?
I think it is. I think you see I think it's denser.
Yeah, definitely. So again, with your binoculars, it looks pretty good. And finally, if you move up a little bit further, there's a third star cloud, and this is in the tiny constellation of Scutum, the Shield. Again, it's marked on our chart. And here, now we're getting pretty well up into the sky. It's not as good as Sagittarius, the two star clouds there, but this Scutum star cloud is also very interesting.
Oh, yeah.
So have a look for these three star clouds. The further south you are, the better. And if you're going on your holidays to the southern hemisphere in June or July, perhaps to watch the British Lions wallop the Wallabies in the rugby, as I am, these objects will be almost overhead. So I'm taking my binoculars as well as my England rugby jersey, which I'm wearing this morning.
Good on you.
And we'll see if we can see some star clouds from deep down in Australia.
Oh, they're almost overhead at this time of year.
Yes,
yeah,
that's what I'm looking forward
This
to.
is absolutely, lucky man.
So all these constellations, you can see them on our monthly star chart. I've put quite a few pictures up there this month, so you'll see the Ophiuchus star chart, the monthly star chart, a description of how to find these star clouds and so forth. And they're all on our Forest FM Facebook page, as well as Fordingbridge Astronomers and Wessex Astronomical Society. So do have a look and see if you can find them on there. And if you're interested in finding more about astronomy, not astrology, we've hastened to say no more astrology, but if you're interested in astronomy, the science astronomy, do please contact your local astronomy clubs.
Yeah.
We love new members coming along. You don't have to know anything about the stars. You just have to have a passionate interest in what's going on up there.
Yeah.
So
we'll show you. We'll show you.
We will.
You don't need a telescope or anything. You just bring yourself.
That's it. Fordingbridge Astronomers meets every third Wednesday in the month at the Elm Tree in Hightown in Ringwood.
And the Wessex Astronomical Society meets at the Allendale Centre in Wimborne on the first Tuesday of every month.
And finally, the Cranbourne Chase Astronomy Club meets on the second Wednesday of the month at the Grosvenor Hotel in the centre of Shaftesbury. And all of these three clubs welcome new members with open arms. Astronomy is growing, though, so much. You know, our membership of all these three clubs is growing. People are really starting to show lots more interest. So, as you said, Steve, you don't need expensive kit. We've got some kit to show you the stars.
Yeah.
Come along and don't buy anything until you've had a look through our telescope.
Yeah.
Good point.
Get to know stuff before you buy it. You know, because a lot of beginner kit, some of it's okay.
Yeah.
Some of it is, I have to say, complete rubbish.
Yeah.
And it's targeted at people who don't know any better.
Yeah.
So come and try it out. Try our kit. You'll get an idea of what does what and what you want to buy yourself.
Definitely don't buy anything that says on the box 620 magnification or some other silly number like that. That is meaningless.
Not.
Actually, will destroy your interest in the hobby.
Yeah. Hobby killers. Yeah.
So that's it. Well, welcome back, Steve. You've made it through this first one. It's good to see you. It's good to see you back again in good spirits.
Good to be back.
So from Mark Hardacre, it's a goodbye.
And from Steve Tonkin, it's a goodbye. I hope it's au revoir.
And wishing you all clear skies.